Parents, we've all been there before. Your kid is having a meltdown in the grocery store, or they're having a tantrum about a small change in the schedule, or you're trying to transition to bedtime and it is not going well. What you are witnessing in those scenarios is an overwhelmed, a dysregulated nervous system in action. And it's not too surprising, because if we think about the environment that our kids are growing up in, overwhelmed with way too busy of schedules. There's way too much digital screens and noise and overwhelming stimulation from those. The environment and the toxic exposures that they're facing is not positive. There's way too much bombarding our kids' neurological systems, and there's way too much stress that they're not able to adapt to. That is what I want to help address here. We need to address this because we have too many kids that are dealing with sensory challenges or anxiety or autism or ADHD and focus struggles. They're not able to handle and adapt to this dysregulation, and we need to support them better. So I've got 5 tips plus one very important bonus one that I want to walk you through if you are struggling with those things. And this is stuff that you can do today at home with your kids. And let me say, not just kids, moms and dads, you need this too, maybe even more, because we need to be that co-regulating force. We need to be the ones that set the thermostat for the environment of the home, and are the ones that are not creating more of a stressful environment for them, but are helping bring that down and soothe it. So let's talk through these 5 tips here. Number 1 for this DIY nervous system regulation guide is get outside, right? Today, as I'm recording this, I can look out the window to my right, and it's not beautiful out. We've had some amazing Western Pennsylvania days here recently this week, but today is a little dreary. It's a little rainy. That is not an excuse. You can get outside still, whether that means you put on a jacket and you just get wet, you have an umbrella, you do something to get outdoors. Maybe you've heard the phrasing, there is no such thing as bad weather, just bad clothing. That applies to kids especially. They need that. Really, an hour, 2 hours a day outside does wonders for a kid's ability to regulate. Maybe you've heard of a concept called forest bathing, taking that to extreme, right? Disconnect from any of your digital world, leave your phone at home and go out and just be in nature, and you will be amazed at how much more chill, how much more calm you feel. Yes, I love taking my pictures of my kids hiking and taking pictures of them on these adventures, and we do that plenty of times, but you might just need the ability to check out of that and have a more calm environment. So get outside, guys. It makes a huge difference. Number 2, kind of just hinted on, a device-free environment. Screens are incredibly stimulating, especially for a kid who struggles with that high sensory processing system. Usually they gravitate towards those way more, but it's way more impactful in a negative way. So we want to minimize those screen addictions, minimize the times they're on their tablets, they're on a phone, they're watching TV, because that creates a bombardment of neurological sensations. And you've been there, right? You know how hard, when your kid is dysregulated, you know how hard it is to transition away from watching a show or take the tablet off of them. It doesn't go well because of how incredibly stimulating those situations are. So I'm not saying you have to go 100% screen free. Maybe you do. Maybe that's a good approach for a temporary season of life, but we've got to have some screen-free time, some screen-free areas. And once again, moms and dads, we got to demo that. We've got to be the ones that are setting the table for that, because we are often the ones guilty of not modeling that well. And so then our kids, of course, expect to be on their devices as well. Number 3 here, physical movement. Getting movement, especially when it's connected to number 1, getting outside, can have a massive impact on our stress relief. Movement stimulates the brain in a positive way, right? It feeds and it meets that need that kids have, especially the busy brain, the ADHD, the sensory-driven kids. You've got to have that movement. Otherwise, they go crazy. Otherwise, they take it out on something else, right? And you're probably thinking like, well, my kid, when they play outside, when they're outdoors all day, they're still wild and they're still crazy. Yes, it doesn't mean that they run out of energy like you might, but it still is it's giving them that brain nutrition, that proprioceptive input that does help calm and regulate them better. And I can almost guarantee the days your kid has more movement, especially if they're doing that outside, you're gonna have better transitions. You're gonna have better meal times. You're gonna have better experiences across the board with them. So we gotta get moving, and you too. This is kind of a theme here, okay, parents? We're not exempt to this. We're the ones that need to live it out too. Number 4, deep pressure. This can look like weighted blankets. This can look like compression clothing. This can look like deep squeezes where you're giving your kid a big bear hug and you're really loving them well. You're smushing them with pillows. Those are soothing activities for the same reason that movement one is. It's because it is giving the brain the proprioceptive feedback that it wants and that it needs all the time. So use those things. Give that deep pressure and deep squeeze. Number 5, you might not think about this one as much, but it's different sounds and smells. Those auditory and olfactory systems have a direct impact and connection to your ability to regulate. So that's why stuff like good scents and maybe you have the lavender essential oils can be so impactful. This would apply more to maybe some of the older kids, but different breathing mediated sounds. You can find different tones that are hitting a certain rhythm, and that helps sync up your heart rate. It helps slow down your breath. Using those things to intentionally mediate and control breath and stress levels can have a massive impact. So there is a lot of cool like apps and devices and websites and YouTube videos that hack the nervous system and do that. It is helpful. I don't know if I would say it hacks it because it still doesn't fix the problem. I just look at it as a smoothing over or a temporary Band-Aid. When you feel those high levels of stress, when you feel that panic attack going on, it is absolutely great to have a get out of jail free card and a quick movement, a quick trigger you can train your brain to do to reset that. But what we're really getting to is sometimes you're feeling stuck, right? Sometimes you're doing all those things. You're doing an amazing job of creating the wellness routines and lifestyles that you should for your family. They're not on their screens all the time. They're moving, they're getting outside, they're being active, and you still feel like they're struggling. You still feel like they're dysregulated. That might be when they are stuck neurologically, and you need to address that side of it. That is what pediatric chiropractic exists for. That is what Thrive as a nervous system focused PX docs practice does, is we address the nervous system. We address this dysregulation so that all the other stuff you're doing, when you're hitting those things, it is more impactful and it has a greater reach because they're not in fight or flight, right? When your kid is neurologically stuck in a sympathetic gas pedal fight or flight state, it's really hard to do this, right? It's really hard to get any traction because they're just so wound up internally. You can't calm it down. You can't fight back against that enough. And that's where, if you feel like you're in that boat, if you feel like you really don't know where to turn, let us find out if that's what's going on, right? That's what our scans, that's what our neurological assessments do at Thrive. We get to measure the nervous system, we get to see how your kid's adapting to stress, and then put together a game plan to get them out of that and get them heading in a better direction. So parents, please use these things. Don't feel overwhelmed by having to do all 5 of these at once. Pick one. If you pick one, you get to start to get some momentum. You see that it's worth it. You see that it's making an impact, and you can keep building on that. I would say it's a toss-up between really the 1 and 2 as my recommended starting point. I think they go hand in hand because you can't just cut something out without replacing it, right? There's a habit trick for you. It's really hard to just stop something. It's a lot easier to swap it. So you stop the device time, swap it for outside time, walk after dinner, getting outside around the neighborhood makes a massive impact on everybody's ability to regulate and to just be in a more calm state. So pick one, try to tackle that. Comment here if you're doing that. Comment here maybe if you've had success with this in the past as a family and you've seen things that work really well. Let us know. Share that with the community so you can help other people achieve that for their family. Hope that helps, guys. Can't wait to meet you soon and help you thrive.